What's up, BCSS? How y'all doing? Come on, that was so dead. Can we get some life into that? How y'all doing? I don't know, man. Should we run it back?
Literally run it back.
All right, one more time. How y'all doing today, BCSS? Okay, much better. So my name is Rachel.
My name's Anita.
And today we are going to be having a panel at which it's a second in our series where we get the chance to speak with some of BCSS alumni. Who we have?
So today, for the alumni, we have Roba Desse, Dimitri Smith, Andre Park, Isabella Salfari, and Claude Wellington.
All right, so we're going to start off with Roba, and she's going to talk a little bit about herself, and the stage is yours.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Roba. I am currently in my first year of health sciences at the University of Waterloo. And so I just graduated from BCSS last year, meaning that at this time last year, I was in the same boat as a lot of you, stressing about programs or grades, school, and just life in the future in general. So I'm just gonna talk a little bit about my experience, how it went, and how it's currently going for me. So while I was at BCSS, I was a pretty active member in the community. I was involved in groups such as the Student Activity Council, the Black Student Association, and choir. And in fact, a lot of my most fond memories from high school come from being a part of those groups. So I'd want to encourage you all, if you're not participating in any extracurriculars, I really encourage you to do that. And I also encourage you to check out the different events that are run by the groups in the school, because a lot of effort goes into them, into making them as memorable as they can be. And I'd also want to encourage you to check out leadership positions on the councils as well. In fact, I don't know how many of you went to the carnival last year, but I know that watching that come together from the council's point of view was one of my most fond memories of grade 12. Now, right now at Waterloo, I'm doing health sciences, and I'm enjoying my program pretty much. But to put it into perspective, our applications were due, I believe, January 13th last year, and I submitted mine January 12th. So very, very last minute. I didn't know what I wanted to do up until I had to decide. I ended up applying to 5 different schools and 6 different programs. So that was at Waterloo, Guelph, McMaster, Queens, and Ottawa. In the end, I was applied to 6 different programs, all ranging in the different fields of sciences. So there were some health sciences, biomedical sciences, biochemical sciences, and I got into 6 out of those programs. And in the end, I was considering between health sciences at Ottawa, which had French immersion, and then health sciences at Waterloo, which had co-op. In the end, for me, the co-op was a little bit more of a bonus just because I didn't fully know what I wanted to do coming out of a degree, and I felt like getting that kind of experience from co-op would be pretty helpful, so that's how I ended up here where I am today. And at the end of this degree, I hope to pursue health research or medicine, specifically pediatrics, but I am not fully set on that yet, and that's the cool thing that I think about my program is there's a lot of different pathways that you can take from it, a lot of different routes you could go, and so I am really excited to being a part of this panel, excited to hear from you all, and that's me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robar. Next, we have Dimitri Smith. He graduated from BCSS in 2019 and goes to York University for a Bachelor of Science in Cognitive Science.
You said cognitive. So we're just going to make a little correction there. I actually am graduating from York University for global health right now, in my last semester. Sorry about that. Where to start? So, graduated from BCSS in 2018. Came from 2014, but I was not always raised and born in Brampton. I was actually supposed to go to Richview Collegiate. I was raised and born in Rexdale, Toronto. So we're going to start from grade 9, actually. So grade 9, wasn't really fond of BCSS. I did want to go to my French immersion school in Toronto. Did the first year in BCSS, no problems, made friends. But one thing I do remember in grade 9 was during one of my exams, right before my exam, I happened to get a phone call from my cousin that my nephew died in a car accident. So I had to take the exam with that on my head. Unfortunately, I didn't do that good on the exam. And the whole time I was just thinking that my barely 1-year-old cousin hasn't even experienced life, and here I am in the beginning of my high school career not knowing what I want to do with mine, taking this exam that I really don't care about. And yeah, that was just on my head. Ended up flunking the exam. But the one thing that stuck with me in that exam was that from that moment on, I knew that I had to be something and I wanted to do something with my life. So going to grade 10, 11, did sports, continued with my academia, went to university courses, 12U I think you guys take, and now we're in grade 12. So unfortunately, grade 10 and 11, I was more focused on money, and as you guys can see in the picture, the jewelry, as you guys might call it, the drip. But grade 12, life kind of gets real because you're gonna make that transition into the real world, I do remember a lot of my teachers in high school telling me that, hey, like, you kind of have to take life a little bit more seriously, be a little bit professional, and like, your attire is not the best for the real world because you are gonna be judged. Took that into consideration. From grade 12, I decided I was gonna go to York University, take a psychology major. First year, I'm still rocking the drip. As you can see, I have the do-rag on. I'm kind of being watched in university, if we're being honest. People are looking at me a type of way, and I can see that. I can see that I'm also automatically being judged, I'm being classified, and I'm being stereotyped. So first year, again, did it perfect. I had my best friend with me. Everything was going smooth. We would go to the library. Second year now, started to take life a little bit more seriously. I got a job for the city of Brampton. I changed up my attire. I started being around different environments, meeting different people, having different conversations. And I think that's the most important thing when you make that transition from grade 12 to the real world, is you want to be around the people and the environment that you yourself want to see yourself in. Meaning, if you want to be that doctor, hang around doctors. If you want to be that lawyer, hang around lawyers, etc. And then the pandemic hit. I'm in my third year. I think that was the craziest year for me because I had an idle mind, meaning that there was not much for me to do and I was looking for things to do. I ended up buying a motorcycle. Not the best investment, but it happened. And then from there, I ended up doing foolish things on the road that ended up getting me a ticket that I had to pay for 2 years later down in the line. And I'm still paying for it. It's okay, you live and you learn. So now I'm in my fourth year, tickets paid off, motorcycle sold, everything is going good. And as you can see, my attire's kind of switched. I still dress in the casual drip when I go out here and there. But again, one thing I want to keep with you guys is that environment and that conversation. You dress and you act like the person you want to be. If you dress bummy, you might look bummy, right? That's the reality of things. It's always nice to get a haircut. I don't have one right now, unfortunately, because 2 weeks ago I got my grad picture, but trust me, you're gonna wanna always look your best because you never know who you're gonna meet on the road. And that's my journey. If you guys have any other questions, I would love to get deeper into it a lot.
And that's when I truly started finding my passions. I loved law, I loved politics, I loved economics, and I still do to this day. I went to university for criminology in hopes of being a lawyer. That was my plan. And when I was there, I really started understanding life a little bit better. I started understanding that when you do school, there's a whole lot of debt, and that scared me. I also started thinking about my goals and what I want to do with my life, not just kind of what my parents told me to do or kind of what I saw makes a whole lot of money. So I said, okay, well, I started thinking kind of about life differently, I would say. And so at the start of the pandemic, that's when I decided to leave university. And that to me was like a big, big life-changing moment because both my parents have degrees. And so mom and dad are both looking at me like, what are you doing? Day after day, they're saying it's a bad idea, you shouldn't do it. And so I kind of felt alone, I felt down, and that to me was like the hardest point in my life. So I had to save up for the program I wanted to take. The electrical program I wanted to take was $10,000. I wasn't smart with like when I was younger, I was not smart with my money. I was doing kid stuff. I was buying clothes, I was buying food all the time. I wasn't smart. I didn't have a whole lot of money saved. And I knew for a fact that I wanted to become an electrician. I knew that without a shadow of a doubt. So I put my head down, I got a job at a warehouse, that I worked 40 hours a week at, and then I also worked at No Frills. So I was doing back to back to back 15 days. 15-hour days. So I would wake up at maybe 4 in the morning, go to the warehouse, work a 10-hour shift, and then go to No Frills, and then work at either 7 or 5-hour shift, depending on the day. And just how tired I was at the end of the day really makes me appreciate so much where I'm at now, because in that time I was so nervous, I was so anxious, and like I had no clue of if it was even gonna work out or not. And so after that, I started school. I loved electrical immediately. The program I did, it was at the Skilled Trades College of Canada, and pretty much it broke up the course into 3 sections. It was like blueprints, theory, and then practical. I loved every single section of it, and I ended up finishing first in my class. And then the way the program works is they say they'll try to help you get a job, but I didn't really want to rely on them. So I started applying places a month before I graduated. So I graduated on the Friday, I believe, and then I ended up working with Corland Electric on the Monday. So I started working right away, and so I was the first to start working out of the whole term. My first day of work showed me kind of like what life was really about, because I feel like before I was kind of in a box and I was kind of in my own world. So when I started working, I truly understood people have to really go to work for their money. I see I'm working with grown men with kids, different families. You see so many different types of people, and to me that also showed me that life is so much bigger than just, oh, I wanna go out and have fun, oh, I wanna look good. It's so much deeper. And so after my first company, I was blessed with the opportunity to work with W&D Millwrights in Scarborough at a Canada Post Center. So over there, this is where I kind of figured out the niche of electrical I wanted to do. So currently, I am doing commercial, industrial, and institutional electrical work. That was my first industrial job, and I fell in love with it. I ended up being a head of a team, and so the way your apprenticeship works is that you're an apprentice, a journeyman, and then master electrician. They put me in the position of a journeyman when I was an apprentice. So I'm telling grown-ups what to do, telling them to do this, telling them to do that, and that pushed me to kind of want to do that for myself now, to not work for other people, but to work for myself. So around that time, that's also kind of when I started doing my own different business. So currently, in addition to my apprenticeship, I finish basements, I do work in people's houses, I do all types of stuff. I think the last job I did was all the lighting in the barber shop, and working for myself has kind of also helped me find out where exactly I want to be. So now my end goal is to either work in Ontario power generation or have my own company. We'll see kind of what life takes me. But I would say my biggest takeaway from all this is to be fluid, because life is fluid. Because in grade 12, I thought I was going to be a lawyer, and I was dead set on it. No one could tell me otherwise. And now I truly fell in love with my current path. And so I would say be like water, I would say. Let life take you along, but look at what you do at the same time. Thank you.
That was really good. Thank you, Andre. So next, please give a warm welcome to Isabella Sal Farley.
Hello, everyone. So I am the oldest one here. I graduated in 2018, very long ago. Starting from grade 9, I joined a whole bunch of teams, track and field, volleyball, whole lot of things. That was probably my favorite part of BCSS is the sports teams. I was on every one. I even scored the basketball games, everything. Fast forward, grade 11, track and field. I ran a whole bunch of things, went to ROPSA, OPSA. I actually broke a record for shot put, and I just kind of fell in love with sports. And I was granted the Athlete of the Year award in grade 11. So excited. I was working towards more awards in grade 12, but then I got into a lot of high school drama. a lot of boy-girl drama. I grew up as an only child, and I had a best friend. She was my best friend since grade 4. And in grade 12, we kind of got into it, and my whole world came crashing down, honestly. The whole school knew about it, and everybody was just encouraging it. I just actually spoke to Miss Archer about our last volleyball game, because we used to play on the volleyball team, but unfortunately the drama actually extended into our game and had us lose one of our playoff games, and it was just the end of my world. I was skipping classes because I didn't want to come to school, avoiding the drama, and a lot of the teachers, they would tell me, like, don't, like, try to pick yourself up, like, separate yourself from the crowd, and it took me a lot of time to recognize that that's what I needed to do. So yeah, grade 12, I pretty much like almost threw away. And closer to the end of the grade 12, I had a friend who actually won valedictorian that year. And she came to me and she's like, you know what, Isabella, like, you need to start getting involved in things again. Like, you need to pick yourself up. So I ended up running for student council. I was parent council rep. And it was just something to get me involved, something that kept me going, kept me motivated. And I really started to think about the things that I wanted in my life, which was to be a teacher. So being a teacher was a dream that I've always had for like, since I was 4 years old, I wanted to be a teacher. So as I said, I was the only child, and when my cousins would come over, I would kind of like have them do schoolwork, things like that. They hated it, but it's okay. Yeah, so that was just something that I really wanted to do, but grade 12, it just felt like the end of my life, because I was losing this best friend that I was carrying for my whole entire life with me. And after I joined student council, I was on the track team, volleyball team, same thing, but just coming to school, it didn't feel the same. Like, I was very just not having it, if you want to say that. And then graduated. I made a new group of friends, but this group of friends, like, they were into the party scene. They like to go to parties all the time. They like to go out, really just disconnected from doing their schoolwork. And I was just hanging out with them, and I took it straight through the summer, straight through my first year of university. I used to go to all of the different universities like in Ontario, so I'd be at Waterloo, I'd be at Laurier, every weekend just partying, not doing my university work at all, and I ended up like flunking most of my first year of university. And after that, it was just like, wow, like I got into my dream program, like what am I here doing? Like I'm wasting my life. So second year of university, I made the decision to just separate myself from all of those distractions. I took on my studies again, and throughout my whole university life, I've been doing summer school, things like that, trying to make up for those mistakes that I made during my first year. And today I'm in Teachers College right now at York University. I finished my undergrad in child studies. Trying to get the whole thing. So yeah, so in high school, I worked at McDonald's. After high school, I got a job with the city of Brampton, and I was running youth programs because I really wanted to gear my life towards my career once I decided to like change my life around. After that, I was a tutor for a little bit. And then I ended up working for this Black organization that runs gifted programs for Black students. After that, during the pandemic, the pandemic came again, so it was another setback for university because all of our courses were either canceled, we couldn't take a lot of them, or they were online. And it was really discouraging because that's when I really decided to put my head in the books, but kept going. Did most of my courses online, and then I got a full-time job as a French teacher at a private school. And I was doing that for that year of COVID, and after that, we got to go back to school, and that's when I started my first year of teacher's education. And then I applied for a job at Oxford. I don't know if you guys know it, but it's like a tutoring center. I started off as a tutor, and I just started to build relationships with the manager of the organization, and then she ended up granting me the position of education coordinator. So that was a big up for me. And right now, I'm just really working towards finishing that teacher's education, getting my certification so that I can be an elementary school teacher. But something I want to just say to you guys is make sure that you separate yourself from bad situations, and also just try to push yourself to be in good, uncomfortable situations, because I was the type of student where I knew everything that was going on in class, but I wasn't the type of student to raise my hand or share my opinion. And when you get to university, that stuff is really important, because they're like looking at you, they might call on you and say, hey, like, can you answer this question? And you really need to be able to express your thoughts and share your opinion as well. Don't be afraid to share your opinion. So yeah, what I want to say to you guys is just remember to separate yourself from bad situations and then put yourself in good, uncomfortable situations, because part of growing up involves being uncomfortable, unfortunately. So yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and our last panelist for the day is Claude Wellington.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. As you guys know, my name is Claude Wellington. But for me, high school was an interesting place because since I started, I tried to take some courses that I was interested in. If it wasn't programming with Gorski, tech class with Mr. Davies, I really enjoyed that aspect of things. As well, I tried to get involved with more of my school community. I joined Charity Council. I was a part of the senior boys rugby team, which was some of the best experiences of my life. When it came to grade 12, grade 11, it's time to buckle down and figure out exactly what I wanted to do. I wasn't sure, actually. I was actually in Mrs. Archer trying to figure out what did I want to do. I wasn't sure at all. I just know I wanted to make some sort of statement in this world. I wanted to do something. I look back at the different things, such as the tech aspect of things, and like, hey, maybe I could become an engineer. So I applied to various places such as Ryerson, Ontario Tech, and I really, really wanted to get into the Ryerson program. They had rugby, something I enjoyed. I played throughout my whole high school career, and they had the specific engineering I wanted to do, which was an open course where you could figure out exactly what type of engineering you liked. When the offers came back and I was rejected from Ryerson, my whole world was flipped upside down because this was something I was working towards my whole life. And I thought there was no other option, there was nothing I could do. I was lucky enough to also get an offer from Ontario Tech for electrical engineering. And I decided, you know what, it's not what I wanted, but I'll stick it through, maybe this is something I could try. Fortunately, first year engineering gives you that opportunity to figure out exactly what you like and what you don't like. We were able to take some mechanical courses, which I really enjoyed. We were able to take some programming courses, which I really enjoyed. And I slowly began to feel like this is not what I wanted. I need to find something that pertains to all these aspects. And luckily, my school had this course called Mechatronics Engineering, which is a little bit of everything. It's about 40% electrical, 40% mechanical, and 20% programming. And that is exactly what I wanted. Once I switched over into that program in my second year, I slowly began picking myself up, realizing, hey, this is something I can make, this is something I could do. I really enjoyed that, and I finally found my footing. In my first and second year of university, I worked really hard because I know I wanted to get a co-op placement to get that hands-on work field vibe. When I finally got an offer in my second year, I was ecstatic. It was one of the best things that could have happened to me. I was actually accepted at this place called Inuak down in Etobicoke, where we deal with exterior commodities of vehicles, such as spoilers, running board, even rear door garnishes. And so it's not fully tech, it's not fully mechanical either, but it gives you that perspective of what can you do with a degree like this. And I think my takeaway from all of this, or my message to you guys, would be that even if things don't go according to plan, you can still salvage and make something out of nothing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Claude, and thank you all the panelists for sharing your experiences. Can we all please give them a thank you? Big BCSS thank you? Yes. Okay. If you guys have any questions, now's the time for them. So,
Mr. Ali at the back, or right there, he will come around, and if you have a question, just raise your hand and we'll give you the mic. If not, that's okay too.
Check, check. Not everybody at once, okay? Not everybody at once. Question? All right. Okay, you get up. Come here.
So my question was like, what's the cutoff for university, like the percentage?
what'd you say? Cut off? What? What'd you say? Can
He
you
said,
repeat that?
what is the cutoff percentage for university? What's the cutoff percentage for university?
Which one? For like a program.
Minimum, I guess, is what he's looking for.
Yeah. Like the percentage range.
It varies per program. I know some programs there's mid-range 70s and above. For engineering, for example, you need to be, for Ryerson, you need to have a cutoff of about 90% as your average. And then some places take 85 and up. So it really depends on what program you're looking at. And I think that's answers your question.
What was the best way that you found to balance school, work, and home all at the same time while still having almost 8 hours of sleep?
What do you guys? How did you balance your social life and social life in school?
The best word that I found out that you can use in this life is no. If you don't have time, no. If you can't do it, no. When you can make that time to say yes. And it's always about prioritizing things. School, if you know school will eventually make more money than the current job you have, you should put school first. If you have time for work right now to put towards your books, you should make some time for work. I always put my social life last because it'll always be there. Monday is no different from Friday. Friday is no different from Wednesday. You can always go out.
Hi, I was wondering if you guys had any role models that you guys looked up to growing up.
Unfortunately, no. If I'm being honest, in my family, I'm the center of attention. I'm like the middle cousin, middle child, middle everyone. So I am the role model in my family, right? The older cousins, they look at me saying, hey, like, don't do this, or what are you doing? How can we help you make a better decision? Whereas my younger cousins, or my younger siblings are looking at me like, hey, like, what should I do? So sometimes in life, you're not gonna find that role model that you want. Don't like stop yourself from looking, because there's always gonna be a role model out there, but just remember that this is your life and you only know where you wanna be. So just remember that.
I think in my case, one of my role models probably would have been my sister, because I'm like the younger out of the two of us, so a lot of things that she did, I kind of just got to copy her. But also let me see, like, it's kind of, sometimes it's nice to learn like from your own mistakes, but sometimes it's always nice to see like the kinds of things that other people go through and see you can apply them to yourself. So like my sister, she was on student council, and I'm like, hey, student council is cool, so I joined student council and things like that. But I think having her as a role model also probably helped me with my decisions, and it still kind of helps me to today too. So.
All right. Any other questions?
Hello. How does it feel to know that you've become a role model today by coming here to inspire us?
So why don't you be that person? And that's the main reason why I'm here today, because we can't keep complaining about things and not making the change ourselves, right? So the pressure is on me, and as much as I am scared, I am proud that I took this initiative at the same time. So I do feel good that if someone was to take something out of this today, like I made a difference in someone's life, that someone else wasn't able to make it mine.
Anybody else?
Actually, I'm just going to add to that. That was like a really great answer, but I also wanted to add on my part. I think it was a little like encouraging because we were all started at the same place where you guys are too. So it shows that like it's not some special thing in the water. Since like anyone has what it takes to become a role model for someone else. I know when I was younger and I would hear older people talk about like their experience, I look at them and be like, wow, that's so cool. Like, how did they do that? But then to now be in that position too is like a little bit of humbling and a little bit encouraging. And hopefully it's encouraging to a lot of you in the crowd as well.
Any other questions? Where? Oh.
How long did it take for you to know that you were accepted to a university program?
I know it partially depends on when you apply. I know some people who applied in the fall got their acceptances before winter. As I said, I applied really last minute, so I found out in May, end of May, but it really does just depend on the school, the program, and what time you apply.
Hey panelists, I have a question for you. Can you share with us your favorite BCSS memory?
Go down the line. Favorite BCSS memory? I have a lot. Like, as I mentioned, just like being behind the scenes planning a lot of events was really cool. Specifically like with the carnival, because that was the first one that we had in I think 3 years or something like that. So getting to have that event outside in spite of like the COVID situation, that's something I really cherish. Another memory that I really enjoyed was like being a part of the school play in grade 9. So that was before any of you would have been here, but like we put a lot of effort into that, and the show was like funny, and like we made a lot of friends, and so that's something I really enjoyed. But really, pretty much anything that had to do with any of the clubs or councils or groups that I was a part of is something that I cherished from high school, whether it's like choir or yearbook or things like that. So that's my answer.
For me, I think, actually, maybe surprisingly, I really enjoyed being a part of the Black History Month show. Myself and one of my friends at the time, Nigel, we put on the performance of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. For me, that was really a big moment. I stepped out, tried something I didn't think I would ever do on front of stage like this, in front of a bunch of other kids my age. I found it really fun. For me, yeah, I think that would be my best memory.
My favorite memory, or one of my favorite memories from BCSS, was definitely winning the rugby championship. That was really memorable.
I have a lot. It would have to start, I guess, with ROPSA. I won long jump. Then I think we won ROPSA for juniors basketball as well. But it would just have to be my time here. Like, when you get older, you kind of have to make time for yourself, whereas in high school, it's just like everyone just comes together, you guys have the same schedule, you guys can go out to eat for lunch together and just have that fantasy time to just plan for your future. Like, that was just the best moment I had because that kind of set the stone for where I am right now.
For me, I would say it's definitely like the sports, getting involved, because then that way you get to meet a lot of people that are outside of your actual friend group. And you also get to experience things outside of school other than just going home, doing homework. So definitely that. And then also just the feeling associated with competing in the sports and just cheering on your teammates, like all of those types of things. But it's really hard to gather that question in a nutshell because BCSS was really a great time.
questions? Anybody else? Oh.
So like, I have two questions. First of all, well, I hope you're not quite at that age where it's impolite to ask, but I want to ask like, how exactly old are you guys? Because like, I already know the like legal marriageable age, but like the details. And second of all, which teacher's class, either in grade 11 or grade 12, like terrorized you? Like teacher and class. Like which class were you like, why? Like when you saw the teacher again, you shivered. Which class?
Careful, careful. Someone might still be here.
Okay. I don't know if you guys have am I, sorry? Oh, my age, sorry. So I'm 22. I don't know if you guys have Mr. Doran here still. His science class was so scary to me, but honestly, he was a funny person. And then I know you guys all know Miss Alstrom. I had her for philosophy. Her class was just terrifying because she always had expectations for us. So like, you couldn't just go to her class and not know what you're talking about, and you always had to contribute. So that was just something terrifying for me because I wasn't the type of student to raise my hand and, you know, but looking back, I can see that she was preparing us for what was to come.
So I'm 21, and sorry to get at you, Miss Alstrom, but she always used to get at me about the do-rags, the style that I was dressing, the professionalism. But other than that, I would have to say every English class I had, because they would always say I never got straight to like the main point or like got the core concepts, and I was like, yeah, just too talkative, essentially.
I'm 21 years old, and I'm sorry, Miss Alstrom, but Miss Alstrom's philosophy class, that was definitely my most challenging class in grade 12, and then my most challenging class was math in grade 11.
I actually just turned 21 last week, Friday. For me, I don't have any memory. I hope no teacher had a problem with me, but all my teachers, I think we're on good terms. If there was a class per se, I would say maybe chemistry with Prangley, but even he was a really good teacher. It was just the course itself was hard, but he prepared us very well for the first year university camp.
And I'm 18. I also can't think of a class at the top of my head, specifically not one in grade 11 or 12. I think like the class that had the biggest jump for me was probably like grade 9 English, just because like there was a lot of standards in it, but it also really helped me prepare for just writing in general, post-secondary as well.
All right.
Hi, bonjour, salut. So you're all French Immersion students. I'd like to know, for all the French Immersion or core French students here, are you using French currently? Will you be using it in the future? And are you happy overall that you were in the French program throughout your academic careers?
Okay, so again, I started working at McDonald's in grade 9. Grade 9, I was in French Immersion way before grade 9, but took French Immersion grade 9. Hated French Immersion throughout my 4 years. After university, I took a break from French. From there, I worked from the city, I got a manufacturing job, and then I worked to UPS. It was only when I saw a work-at-home job that was bilingual that I started using my French. I work at home. I speak to people in Quebec every day. Best job of my life. I don't even know what to say. I wish I used my French more in high school. And my master's program is, if I get in, God with me, it's gonna be bilingual, and I'm hoping to like do something internationally where I can travel between Canada and France. Again, French, what I learned, English is the language for the world. French is the language for the elite. When I talk to people and I let them know that I'm from a Caribbean background, what? Quoi? They go off. I'm telling you, if you're bilingual, it's a privilege, essentially. no one will ever turn you down, and you will definitely be the last person they lay off if you have that French in your back pocket.
Oh. Yeah, I agree with Dimitri completely. There was a point where I was gonna actually change my path and not get my electrical license and take on a project management position with Ampere Electric. And my being bilingual, they said I had the job the second I said I speak French. So it definitely comes in handy when you're older. And I do wish I did more, like I tried a little bit harder in French and continued more, because I was actually thinking about taking a program later on, because it's very, very important.
Okay, yeah, I definitely agree. For me, because I want to be a teacher, it's like definitely an asset. Every job that I apply for, they're like, oh, you're French? Okay, sure. And as I said, like now I'm education coordinator, and that was part of why, because I know how to speak French, so I know how to do both of the curriculum planning. So it was definitely something that is important and that we use.
When it comes to jobs, it definitely helps. Me personally, with my job, I don't use it often, but amongst my uni friends, actually, we use it quite a bit to make sure that there's no ring rust. And especially when we're in a group, we don't want somebody to know something, we break it out. It's mainly a secretive thing. Definitely an asset. I just hope I don't forget it.
Yeah, I also say no regrets taking French at all. Right now, for my elective, I'm actually taking Italian, and there's so many parallels between Italian and French, so just like knowing that a language helps me to know another. And I think like you close off the world, like different parts of the world, when you only restrict yourself to English. So by learning any other language, now you can experience a different, the different culture, the different food, the different like stories and things like that. So no regrets at all for me in taking French.
My question to you guys is, what do you wish some of the educators knew in the building when you were in high school? Like one thing that you wish they knew what's going on about you that you kept to yourself?
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, for me personally, I wish, what? Okay. For me personally, I wish that the educators knew that, well, I mean, I'm sure they knew, but I wasn't like a bad student. Because of the people that I was hanging around and just the crowd that I was around, I was always like in the mix of the drama, so I'm sure that people had different perspectives of me and my character. So for me, I wish that the educators knew what I was actually going through, rather than to just like, kind of like point me out kind of thing, but yeah.
I personally feel like they're here to do their job. It's kind of on you, the individual, to ask more of them to get what you want from them. So kudos for you guys. You guys did everything you guys could for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Dimitri said, because when I asked questions about life and when I didn't need advice, they were definitely a big part of helping me get to where I wanted to go. Like, yeah, so you kind of have to ask, I would say you have to ask of them versus they just give all their energy to everybody, because it'll burn you out pretty quick.
Yeah, I think I definitely feel like we were well prepared. Like I previously stated, once you ask, they definitely will provide. Maybe if there was a way to make sure that everyone's aware of these alternate paths, such as apprenticeship, college, you don't have to go straight into uni. But I feel like as long as you asked, you got involved, and you started studying up for your future, you were well informed.
Yeah, I also would agree. Like sometimes in certain courses you feel like, okay, why are there these specific requirements? Like they're so unnecessary. They don't have to do with anything with the real life. But in the real life, you're always gonna have to do things that you don't understand the point, but you kind of just have to do them anyway. So like with that regard, I think that I was well prepared too.
Questions? I have a question actually. Walk us through your first days in post-secondary in comparison to high school. After you left high school and you walked into that campus, walk me through your first week, your thoughts, kind of, what did you have to get used to that you weren't used to before?
So I would say my first day of crim, I walked into a huge classroom, and like the first thing the professor says, he introduces himself, and then he says, so like, who wants to be a lawyer? And everybody puts their hand up, and that's when I kind of realized, yes, I'm unique, but my plan is not that unique.
For me, I think, well, if we're talking about the very first couple of days, we actually had like a orientation week at Waterloo, so I feel like I didn't really start school until October. The orientation lasted like pretty much all of September, but I think one of the biggest jumps is really like the amount of work you have to put in, because I feel like my program, the assignments that like the requirements they give you are totally doable, but you just have to do it. I feel like in high school you can kind of get away with doing things like really last minute or like not putting your full effort in and then you still get like a 90 or 95. It didn't really work like that in universities. Like my very first in-person midterm, I probably got the lowest mark that I've like ever gotten on like anything in like all 12 years of school. But I really just took that as a way, like whenever you face a challenge specifically in university, you kind of just have to sit back and be like, okay, what did I do, what worked and what didn't work, and then what can I apply for next time? So no mark has been as low as that first midterm. I kind of like learned as I went, and so yeah, it's been upwards from there, I would say.
So again, I wasn't supposed to, my bad. I was originally supposed to go to Richview Collegiate Institute in Toronto. So me coming to Brampton Centennial, I feel like everything was kind of given to me. When I say that, like my friend group, like the first day I walked in, I kind of was put into like a little pack. Again, like your teachers, they're kind of more welcoming, as opposed to my first day at university. The atmosphere, you can just kind of feel that you are now an adult, and as opposed to being in a pack, you're a lone wolf with everybody that's trying to get what you're trying to get. You're there with teachers who might not necessarily be there for your best interest. They're more so there to just tell you what's going on, and it's up to you to do with that information what you do. So again, nothing's gonna be handed to you on a platter once you leave this place. It's really gonna be up to you to be hungry for what you want.
I actually also wanted to add, when you start typically university, like you're going to get all of your deadlines all at once, which is definitely not something that you'd be used to in high school, because it's kind of one thing at a time with reminders here and there. It didn't work like that for me. Instead, you're given like all 40 whatever deadlines, and it's like up to you to kind of put them into your calendar and make sure you remember them. So learning how to organize and prioritize is also very important coming into university.
Question?
Okay, so do you guys think that having a job during high school or post-secondary is a good idea?
You guys heard it? Yeah?
I think it's a very good idea, in my personal opinion, because one, the second you get out of here, like life kind of hits you and you're realizing, I need money. Like, yeah, you have bills to pay, and I think that starting when you're younger and starting to have to organize your time when you're younger, it makes it easier for when you're older. So it's not like you just turned 18 and you graduate and then now I have to get my first job, versus you've been working a little bit amount of hours since you were like 16 years old.
To add on to that, I think not having a job during academia is a privilege. Having those extra hours to open up a book or even get sleep is something that would obviously be useful, but unfortunately a lot of people don't have that luxury. So like, again, make it to your best benefit, learn how to manage your time, and again, if you have extra money, you can make time on the weekend to go out with it, because the people that don't have the jobs, they're just in their books 24/7, right?
I would say that it is a good idea because it teaches you how to balance everything. That's something very important.
Stay focused.
Yeah, entirely just to echo what has been said, it does really help with time management and things like that.
Any last questions before we get them to kind of wrap it up? Any last questions? Questions? No? Question? Okay.
For the whole panelists, if you had to do your high school years over again, would you do anything different?
Can you repeat?
Oh, she said if you had to redo high school over again, is there anything you would do different?
I would have definitely like fought with math longer, because the second I decided to not do math, it was grade 11 and I never had to do math again. But then, like I said, my career path completely changed, and then I found myself having to learn math. So I would say I would have just taken math all the way to grade 12 and kind of like fought more versus giving up.
I would say, and this is something for you guys to keep, sorry teachers, but they're doing a job. There's nothing wrong with working them harder. I would have asked more questions. I would have stayed back after class. I would have interrupted them when they were talking to tell them that I don't know what they're speaking, as opposed to just treating this as a place of just like daycare. I'm here for 8 hours or whatever, and then I go home, and that's when I have fun. I would have taken my French more seriously, because now I'm in a position where I'm actually using it on a day-to-day basis, and those verb tenses could have done me justice today. So again, like, just remember that they're doing their job, and you're doing what you're doing right now to get a job. So work hard now so you don't have to work hard later.
Also, it's less about school and more about the age. Money when you're a kid it's so easy to save, yet I chose not to. Like, I wish I was putting aside even just as like $50 off every paycheck from the time I was young, because when you start working for real and you have real bills, you have your insurance, some people have rent, and money goes very quickly. So I would say save, save, save.
I think for me, like, I was really stressed in grade 9 and 10 about like grades and things like that. And then it was just really interesting looking forward, like when I was in grade 12 and even right now, I was like, okay, those grade 9 grades, like they didn't really matter that much. So I think to just like take it easy, like try your best, but like take it easy too. Don't stress about everything all the time. Just make sure you're doing your best efforts and doing what you can do.
All right. Question? We got one more.
Okay, wait, how do I say this in a sentence? Okay. Can you like say like one word explaining like how like from high school and like when you like were like experience everything, is there like one word that you could use to describe all of that?
You guys heard that one? If it's one word that can describe your experiences, I assume, right? Experiences? University or everything? Everything.
It would be minuscule. It's very little. High school is not at the end of your world, and it doesn't have to be. High school is just a phase in your life, and the phase that I'm in right now, I'm exiting in that. I just spent another 4 years in university, and I'm going to be on to something else, and then from there to something else. So don't feel like this is your end-all, be-all. It's just another stepping stone to cross over, or a bridge to cross over.
A word to, I would say, describe my whole experience from high school to now would be learning, because learning does not stop even when you're finished university, even when you're in your dream career, you're learning. So I would say, yeah, learning.
I would say beginning. Similar to Dimitri here, I feel like now that I found my footing, I'm really starting to get into things, and it's just a building block up to much bigger things, much greater opportunities, especially with networking, talking with people. I feel like this is just the start of what's to come next.
I was also going to use the word learning, but because it also allows you to be a little more forgiving with yourself. Like once you realize that everything is learning experience, as long as you have your goal in mind, it lets you be just nicer to yourself and learn how to move forward too.
All right. I think that's the last of the questions. We're going to throw it to Rachel and Anita up on stage. Hey.
Okay, I would like to say thank you so much again to the panelists, and thank you all for being here. Can we give them another round of applause, please?
Thank you for being such a good audience, sitting through this and being quiet, because like, I know that's hard for you kids. Sorry, it's my bad. That's it.
You said it, not us. All right, everybody. All right, the bell's about to ring soon, so as you're coming, make sure you take all your garbage. If you have any, put it in the garbage cans. Please exit nicely. Tuck in your chairs, please. Tuck in all